सब बैठा है ना?
Okay, let us start the class. So, in our previous class, we have discussed about the pavement materials as aggregates and soil. So, now in this class, we'll discuss about bitumen as a pavement material. Basically, bitumen is used as a binder material for the road, for the basically flexible pavements. Now, bituminous material, or sometimes it is called asphalts, are extensively used for roadway construction because of its excellent binding characteristics and waterproofing properties. So, apart from the uses of bitumen in the construction of the road, bitumen is also used as a waterproofing material for the top slab and related constructions. Now, these bituminous materials consist of bitumen, which is a black or dark color solid or viscous cementation substance. Now, generally, this bituminous material are termed as semi-viscous. Now, this bituminous material is found with the process of distillation of the crude petroleum. So, basically, that is a byproduct of the petroleum. Now, there are different types of bitumens, and another type is tars. Okay, tars are residues from the destructive distillation of the organic substance such as coal, wood, or petroleum. So in destructive distillation, what happens, that coal or wood or petroleums are distilled with the absence of oxygen, and in this way a bituminous material is extracted, and that is called tar. Now, there are different types of bitumen, and in the production of the bitumen, it is discussed how bituminous material is processed. So, there are different type of processing techniques for the bitumen. So, as per the oil rig changes, as per the crude oil changes, the properties of the bitumen also changes, and as per the requirement of the construction, this production of the bitumen is also changing time to time. Now, there are different forms of bitumen. So, first form is cutback bitumen. So, basically, the bitumen is a thick material. Okay, so in normal practice, what you have to do, you have to heat the bitumen to make it more like a liquid, and after that you can use that bitumen. But in the cutback bitumen, what happens? You will use some volatile material with the bitumen. Now, what are the volatile materials? Volatile materials are those materials which got evaporated with the presence of air, like your kerosene or petrols or naphtha or diesel oil, like that. Okay, now from the environmental point of view, cutback bitumen is also preferred because in the cutback bitumen, using of the cutback bitumen do not require any heating arrangement. And in the cold weather, this cutback bitumen is very much used. So in the cutback bitumen, what happens? You need to construct any road, you spread the cutback bitumen, and after some time that volatile material will be evaporated and bitumen will be hardened over the road surface. Now, as there are different types of volatile material, now as per the properties of the volatile material, there are different categories of the cutback bitumen, and they are basically categorized as rapid curing, medium curing, and slow curing. Now, rapid curing are those cutback bitumen for which the time for the curing is very low. Medium curing, which takes medium time to cure, and slow curing, which take longer time to cure. Now, as per the distillates or volatile material used for the cutback bitumen, as their properties changes, as the properties of the cutback bitumen also changes. Now, rapid curing is recommended for surface dressing. Why surface dressing? Because if rapid curing is used, in that case, the rapid curing bitumen will be cured very fast, and which will be very much effective for the surface dressing. And for this, if surface dressing is rapid curing cutback bitumen is used for the surface dressing, then the surface dressing or surface of the pavement material pavement would be useful in a very shorter period of time. Now, another type of bituminous material is there, that is called bitumen emulsion. So in the bitumen emulsion, what happens? Bitumen is added with water. Now, one thing you know, bitumen cannot be dissolved in the water. So for this reason, in the bitumen emulsion, some emulsifier liquid or emulsifier chemical would be added. Now, this emulsifier chemical is parted these bitumen particles from another, which will helps them to float in the water surface. Now, bitumen emulsion is a liquid product in which bitumen is suspended in a finely divided condition in a aqueous medium. That is the aqueous medium, and stabilized by suitable material. Now, if you go through the chemical properties of the emulsifier liquid, generally the emulsifier liquid has two ends, positive and negative. So normally cationic type emulsion are used in India. Now, the bitumen content in the emulsion is around 60% and remaining is water. As I discussed, that bitumen is mixed with the water with a suitable percentage of the emulsifier liquid. Now, another type of bitumen is there. It is called bitumen primers. Generally, bitumen primers are prepared in the site itself. So first bitumen is heated, and after that some volatile or stabilized material is added with it, and it will spread over the surface. So it is called bitumen primers. Then another type of bitumen is called modified bitumen. Here, with the bitumen particle, different modifier is added. Different modifier means sometimes some rubber scraps are used, sometimes some other type of materials are used to reduce the cost and improve the effectiveness of the bitumen. Now, next thing is, what is the requirement of the bitumen? Now, the desirable properties of bitumen depend on the mix type and construction. In general, bitumen should possess following desirable properties. These are the desirable properties of the bitumen. The bitumen should not be highly temperature susceptible. Highly temperature susceptible means it should not change its properties with the changing in temperature. Now, during the hottest weather, the mix should not become too soft or unstable, and during cold weather, the mix should not be brittle, causing which cause cracks. The viscosity of the bitumen at the time of mixing and compaction should be adequate. It should be such that it can be mixed properly with the aggregate in case of construction of the flexible pavement. There should be adequate affinity and adhesion between the bitumen and aggregates, and for this property we need to check the aggregate adhesion test. Now, there are different types of tests on bitumen to check the suitability of the bituminous material for the road aggregate. First one is penetration test, then ductility test, softening point test, specific gravity test, viscosity test, flash and fire point test, and float test. So, what is penetration test? So, penetration test measure the hardness or softness of the bitumen by measuring the depth in tenths of millimeter to which a standard loaded needle will penetrate vertically in 5 seconds. So what happens? There will be one mold would be there. Okay, and in the mold you fill bitumen up to some layers. Okay, you fill bitumen up to some layers. Okay, and you will heat it constantly with a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius, and within this you will place one standard needle over this. Okay, the weight of the standard needle with the assembly would be like 100 gram, and you will check within 5 second times how much that needle got penetrated into the bitumen sample. Basically, that is the penetration. Now, this penetration may be 40 mm, maybe 50 mm, maybe 60 mm, like that. So, based on this, grade of the bitumen is decided. Suppose the penetration is 45 mm. In that case, the bitumen is graded at 40 to 50 graded bitumen, like that. Now, a grade of 40 to 50 bitumen, it is called 40 to 50 bitumen, means that penetration value is in the range of 40 to 50 at standard test condition, as I discussed. And in hot climate, a lower penetration grade is preferred, because as the grade is higher, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, or 80 to 90, as the grade higher, in that case the bitumen would be more susceptible to the hot weather condition, and it would be unsuitable for using in the hot climate condition. Therefore, in the hot weather, generally low grade bitumens are used. Then another test is there, that is called ductility test. In the ductility test, what happens? One test apparatus would be there, where there would be one briquette where you put bitumen and you pull this briquette in the opposite direction. Now, after pulling, how much that how much the bitumen can take the load without breaking, that is basically ductility test. Now, ductility is the property of bitumen that permits it to undergo great deformation or elongation without any breaking. So, as per the test, this ductility is defined as the distance in centimeter to which a standard sample of the material will be elongated without breaking. So, for our road aggregate, a minimum ductility value should be 75 centimeter. Now, if it is less, in that case, it means that the bitumen material is brittle and it will form cracks very easily. Therefore, a brittle ductility test is very much important. Another test is softening point test. Softening point test check at which temperature the bitumen softens. Now, why it is important? It is important to know at which temperature it can be mixed properly. Now, in the softening point test, or it is often called as ring and ball test. Okay, so in the ring and ball test, a brass ring containing the test sample of the bitumen. One ring would be there, brass plate would be there. Over the brass plate, two holes would be there. Okay, you fill these two holes with the bitumen, and over this you place one steel ball. Okay, over this you place some steel balls. Okay, and you heat this total plate in a water content or in a jar filled with water. Now at certain temperature, this bitumen with the ball will be softened and it will fall from the ring. That temperature you have to note it down, and that temperature is basically called softening point of the bitumen. Now, specific gravity test is also important. Now, in paving jobs, to classify a binder, density property is of great use. So, basically, specific gravity will give you an idea about the density of the bitumen. Now, basically, if you go for the definition of the specific gravity is nothing but the ratio of the density of the bitumen to the density of the same volume of the water. Now, in most cases, bitumen is weighted, but when used with aggregates, the bitumen is converted to volume using density values. Now, the density of bitumen is greatly influenced by its chemical composition. What type of composition it does have. Now, increase in aromatic type mineral impurities cause an increase in specific gravity. If there is any impurities, in that case, it will cause the density to increase. Now, specific gravity of bitumen is defined as the ratio of mass of given volume of bitumen of known content to the mass of equal volume of water at 27 degrees Celsius. The specific gravity can be measured using either pycnometer test or preparing a huge specimen of bitumen in a semi-solid or solid state. So in the pycnometer test, you will put some hardened bitumen in the pycnometer jar. So pycnometer jar is nothing but a glass jar. It would be like a glass jar. Over there, one lid would be there. Okay, and over the lid, one small hole would be there. That is basically pycnometer jar. You place hardened bitumen over there, and again you will fill this with water, and after that you find out what is the ratio of the weight of the bitumen to the equal volume of the water displaced by the bitumen. Now, another important test is viscosity test. So in the viscosity test, it denotes the fluid property of bituminous material, and it is measure of the resistance to the flow. As the viscosity increase, the resistance to the flow of the liquid would be increase. Okay, and it will act as a semi-solid or solid material. Now, at the application of the temperature, these characteristics greatly influenced. Now, as you increase the temperature of the bitumen, it will become more viscous. So therefore, viscosity test is very much important for the bituminous material. Now, low or high viscosity during compaction or mixing has been observed to result in lower stability values. At high viscosity, it resists the compressive effort, and thereby resulting mix is heterogeneous, hence low stability values. So if it is high viscous, in that case you cannot mix it properly with the aggregates, and it will mix a non-homogeneous mixture of the aggregate and bitumen, and therefore it will be a unstable structure. And at the low viscosity, the bitumen will get separated from the aggregate and the total pavement surface will fail. Therefore, viscosity is very much important properties for the bituminous material. Now, to test the viscosity, orifice type of viscometers are used to indirectly find the viscosity of the liquid binder. So, in the orifice jar, what happens? Some jar would be there. Okay, some jar would be there, and one small gap would be there in the jar. It would be filled with bitumen, and you will heat this jar with some heating sources, and you will place another jar underneath it. Now at the temperature at which some quantity or some percentage of the bitumen will fall over this, you will note this, and from this you can find out what is the apparent or what is the approximately viscosity of the bituminous material over there. Then another test is called flash and fire point test. Now this flash and fire point test is important to avoid any type of hazardous condition which can be happen during the heating actions of the bitumen. You know, if you want to use the bitumen, you need to heat the bitumen, but this heating temperature should be limited up to a certain point, and that certain point is flash and fire point. So basically flash point is a temperature at which, if you suppose you have some bitumen content and that bitumen contents are get heated. Now after heating or during the heating, it will evaporate some gas. Okay, now if we put some flash or some fire sources over the gas evaporates from the bitumen, if it flashes means if some fireworks happens and it immediately it stops, that temperature is actually called flash point. Now fire point is, suppose you get heated the bitumen further the flash point. So after certain temperature, what will happen? Whatever gases evaporates from the bitumen content, if we put some matchsticks or other fire sources near the gases, in that case it will catch the fire. Okay, catch the fire. That temperature is actually fire point. Now if this flash and fire point exceeds in the on site, in that case it will causes some fire hazard. Therefore it is very much important to check the flash and fire point of the bituminous material so that you can instruct the in situ laborers to check for this. Another test is float test. So normally the consistency of bituminous material can be measured either by penetration test or viscosity test. But for certain range of consistencies, these tests are not applicable and float test is used. Now for the apparatus consists of a aluminium float and a brass collar filled with bitumen to be tested. The specimen in the mold is cooled to a temperature of 5 degrees Celsius and screwed into the float. The total test assembly is floated in the water bath at 50 degrees Celsius, and the time required for water to pass it way through the specimen plug is noted in the seconds and expressed as the float below. So what happens in this case, there will be some water bath. Okay, one apparatus would be there. Okay, there will be some small hole, and you put some bitumen over there, and you will heat the bitumen at a constant rate of 5 degrees Celsius up to, and the temperature of the water bath would be 50 degrees Celsius. Now at certain time, what happened, the this bitumen which blocks the passage of water in the top portion, okay, that bitumen will get softened and it will get detached from the orifice portion and water will penetrate in the plate over there. Okay, you need to calculate that time, that is the time required for the water content to penetrate over the apparatus, that is your float test. Then another test is water content test. Now it is desirable that the bitumen contains minimum water content to prevent foaming of the bitumen when it is heated above the boiling point of water. Now, sometimes in the bitumen content, there may be some excessive water content and which will disintegrate the total structure. Now, the water in the bitumen is determined by mixing known weight of specimen in a pure petroleum distillate free from water, heating and distilling of water. So you will mix this with some distillate like petrol with the bitumen and heat it. After the heating, what you have to find out, and you have to distill this and you have to find out what is the water content which evaporates from this portion. Now the weight of the water condensed and collected is expressed as a percentage by weight of the original sample. Now the maximum allowable water content should not be more than 0.2% by weight of the bitumen. Then another important test is called loss on heating test. Now when the bitumen is heated, it loses the volatility and gets hardened. About 50 gram of the sample is weighted and heated to a temperature of 163 degrees Celsius. Basically that is degree 163 degrees Celsius for 5 hours in a specified oven designed for the test. Then the sample specimen is weighted again after the heating period and loss in weight is expressed as percentage by weight of the original sample. So whenever you heat the bitumen, then some portion of the bitumen got lost due to the heating procedure. So in this test, you have to take some bitumen content and you have to heat it with a temperature of 163 degrees Celsius. Now after heating, you have to place it for cooling for 5 hours, and after that you have to find out what is the loss of the weight of the bitumen after this heating procedure, and generally it is expressed as percentage values. Now bitumen used in pavement mixes should not indicate more than 1% loss in weight, but for bitumen having penetration values 150 to 200, up to 2% loss in weight is allowed. So basically if weight is lost, in that case it would not be suitable for the road aggregate, because in the road case it would be exposed to weather and it will got constantly heated and cooling. And with this, if the bitumen content losses, in that case the pavement will deteriorate very easily. Therefore loss of heating test is also an important test to know the suitability of the bitumen content. Now, these are the different types of tests, and the test methods are described in different Indian standard code book, and these are the standard code books.
Sir, not audible.
Is it clear? Actually, I finished the class. So I have noted your attendance from the list of participants. You already mentioned your roll numbers, now I have noted from there.